Every sign and every house, a journey starts and we allow the universe so vast and true. AstroViktor, it's here for you.
Hi, my dearest family. Today we are going to be looking at the eclipse. It is a total lunar eclipse, so this is pretty important, happening on the 7th of September 2025. And this eclipse is actually called the blood moon because the moon takes on a reddish kind of little circle as it passes through the Earth's shadow. And this eclipse will be visible in Europe, Africa, Asia, and Australia. But the best views is going to be on the Eastern Hemisphere. This is a very interesting eclipse, I must say. There are some really good stuff going on down here. So what we are going to be talking about is actually a few asteroids. We are going to be talking about Australia because it's in a very tight square to it. Then on top of that, we are going to be talking about Orcus as well, because it's conjuncting the sun. That's going to be another asteroid, and we're going to be talking about Pandora as well. By the way, the dispositor of this eclipse is Jupiter, and that's in a exact square to Mars as well on the day of the eclipse. So we are going to be covering that also. And lastly, we are going to be looking at Jupiter's north nodes. Each planet has got a south node and the north node as well. So not only the sun and the moon have got, but we've got for all planets, and Jupiter conjuncts its own north node. So that's what I'm going to be doing at the beginning of the video. I recommend listening to it. And in the second part of the video, I'm going to be giving you pointers, what you can actually do with your own personal chart as well. By the way, this eclipse is going to be taking place on 15 degree of Pisces. So if you have got any planets on 15 to 18 degree, actually from 13 to 17 degree of Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, or Sagittarius, then this eclipse is going to be super important for you. But before we do that, I want to make a couple of announcements. One is that I've got yearly forecasts available for purchase on my website, AstroViktor.com. Each rising sign is approximately about 2.5 hours long. I think the longest one is Taurus, which is 3 hours, 18 minutes. So if you would like to get a bit more personal guidance of what to expect from the next couple of years ahead of you, then I recommend getting this report, and then you will get a little bit of a calendar as well with some additional details in it. Also, I'm launching a new course, and this course is all about house rulers in certain houses. So we are going to be looking at what it means, for example, to have the 5th house ruler in the 8th house, and so on. This is the bread and butter of astrology. So if you are a beginner, this is highly recommended. This is going to be approximately about a 20 weeks long course because it's going to be super detailed. Each class is going to be approximately about 2 hours long. So making sure that you get every single nitty-gritty piece of information that you need to become a professional astrologer. However, if you are already an astrologer, I highly recommend still this course because you're going to have a lot of nuggets there that you might not have thought of. So let's get going with this eclipse. Well, first of all, a lunar eclipse happens when the Earth passes directly between the sun and the moon, casting a shadow on the lunar surface. For a total lunar eclipse, it means that the moon is very tight with the north node or the south node. So we are going to be differentiating two types of eclipses. We've got the north node eclipse and the south node eclipse, but I'm going to come on to that in a short while. So now this eclipse is going to be taking place in the sign of Pisces. And a lunar eclipse is often associated with culmination or release, with the eclipse in Pisces, which is actually about release. So this could really talk to about having to let go of something. And Pisces is super intuitive. It's a very sensitive water sign. So there is a lot of focus on emotions and spiritual matters as well. So, but we've got the sun and the moon in opposition. That's why it's a culmination point as well. So it's somehow an eclipse. This eclipse is like shedding a light onto hidden truth and maybe leading to breaking of illusions. It's about letting go of what no longer serves you, whether it's a false belief or an old pattern or a relationship. It highly depends, of course, on your own natal chart where it falls. So do let me know in the comment box below what house it falls into. And so some of the themes that might be popping up is, like I said, culmination and release. So imagine eclipses as a full moon on steroid. So they bring the matters to a head, forcing culmination and closure. So because Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, there is a strong emphasis on the endings here. So surely there is a release topic going on here, because it's not serving your highest good anymore. It can be an old emotional baggage, outdated beliefs, toxic habits, draining relationships. So if it's in your first seventh house, it could be a draining relationship. If it's in the sixth and 12th house, it could be the toxic habits, for example. But also, this could be about an emotional and spiritual awakening as well. I mean, Pisces is very mystical. The modern ruler of that is Neptune. The traditional ruler would be Jupiter. And what's interesting is that uh, Pisces is very dreamy. It's very illusion orientated. But we do have got the traditional ruler Jupiter in an almost exact trine to this eclipse. So this gives us a lot of opportunity to clear these emotional baggages out, what we have inherited, for example, from family. There is a need here to confront hidden truth, to let go of any illusions you have been clinging to. I mean, Cancer represents the past, so we're going to have to be able to move away from the past. The past is holding us back from moving forwards. So surely there is an emotional reckoning happening with this, clearing the way for that deeper healing and clarity. However, because the sun and the moon are in opposition, also what's important is that you are going to be balancing out the Virgo and the Pisces axis of your chart. So therefore, let's say Virgo is about criticism and Pisces is about forgiveness. So we're going to have to be able to practice both at the same time. Virgo is practical, Pisces is spiritual. We cannot just emphasize a lot on, let's say, spiritual healing, but we're going to have to do the physical healing as well at the same time. So this eclipse is about finding that middle ground between rationality and that intuitive guidance as well. And because lunar eclipses are very karmic, so it's a closure to a karmic chapter of your life. It's about moving us towards our destiny. So that's where the karmic endings could be popping up in the picture. So how it affects us is that we get this sudden clarity, maybe a situation that you have been unclear about, and then all of a sudden it becomes crystal clear. Sometimes it is painful though, but there is this energetic shift as well, a shift in your energy level. I mean, traditionally speaking, eclipses are like it was something in ancient times that they were away or afraid of because all of a sudden the sun or the moon have disappeared from the sky, so someone stole them, right? So something disappearing here, and then a new is about to be emerging. So maybe if it's in your 10th house, this is going to talk to us about an end of a job. Or maybe, it might be painful, but ultimately it is creating space for something new. Pisces is connected with retreats. So maybe we need to be withdrawing from social situations to reflect, to process our emotions a little bit also. Now, this lunar eclipse belongs to Saros cycle 128. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what Saros cycle is, because a Saros cycle is a period of approximately 18 years, 11 days, and 8 hours. What it means is that every 18 years, we're going to have the eclipses happening around the same degrees. So the very last time it happened was 2006 September. So you can go back to 2006 September and then looking at, okay, what went down around that time, because there could be certain type of repetition happening. But of course, the aspects might be completely different. So this eclipse is, I think, basically a Saros cycle is an eclipse family. They come in pairs, of course, but they are a bigger cycle, like 1,200 years in general. So we usually have got approximately about 72 eclipses happening in the same family, and then they kind of disappear and new families are formed. And because this is a total lunar eclipse, it means that we are somewhere in the middle of the cycle. So I believe this is the 41st eclipse of out of 71 in Saros 128. And this Saros cycle started in 1427, I think on the 10th of July. So, and then it's going to be ending in 2673, somewhere around August. So you can go back in 1427, look at what happened there. I did not look at it. So if you are curious, I recommend kind of like to check that out. However, when we are analyzing an eclipse chart, it's also very important to look at the initial point of that eclipse. So what house it fell into. So let me give you some practical advice. Let's imagine that this lunar cycle, this lunar eclipse family started, for example, in the sign of Leo. Then Leo is somewhere in your chart, and then you've got the Pisces part of your chart somewhere. So those two houses need to be brought together because we are all part of a bigger mission. Imagine this Saros family as like having a tree, and then each time when this tree is kind of developing different leaves, then a new one is coming to it. So it's kind of creating a big crown of that tree. And this is just a small cycle of that. That's the reason why you need to be looking at the initial cycles. So to be precise, this lunar eclipse started in the sign of Capricorn back in 1304. I think I gave you the wrong date. So, which is obviously something to do with politics or structure or cooperation or fears, rigid kind of like systems. So it looks like that the system is about to be dismantled. But of course, I'm going to be talking about this a little bit more. I just wanted you to understand how these lunar cycles are working. So we've got two types of asteroid. We've got two types of eclipses. We've got the north node eclipse or the south node eclipse. And basically it depends on which side the moon is on. So if we have got the moon on the north node side, then basically it represents the path of growth, evolution, future lessons. You know, this is a direction that we are meant to be moving towards. And it's something that is unfamiliar, potentially challenging, but this is where our true purpose lies. If it's on the south node, then often it represents the past, the comfort zone, something, habits that we have created for ourselves. And often it comes at a place of ease because staying here indicates that, we are used to it, but also it shows stagnation as well. So the North Node eclipse shows that there is a call to act on something. It's a cosmic push to step outside of your comfort zone, to grow. Of course, the growth comes from the sign and the house position that it is in. So, of course, it's in the sign of Pisces. So, having to lean into our intuition and spirituality. So, it's a spiritual growth, surely. Now, we do have got Australia in Sagittarius, and it is in a very tight square to this. And Australia is a minor asteroid, but in modern astrology, asteroids are, often used to add nuance or a detail of a chart interpretation. Me personally, I love using them. Australia is the Greek goddess of justice and innocence and purity, but also she represents precision as well. I mean, she was said to be the last immortal to leave Earth at the end of the Golden Age, as humanity became more corrupt. Like people started killing animals and each other, and Australia was like, "No, I'm not having it." So she kind of fled, and then she became the constellation of Virgo. So this lunar eclipse is somehow highlighting the desire for justice and fairness, or we want to create this utopian vision to a T, like to a perfection. We want to purify something. But also it's about the struggle to maintain integrity in a different world. So it looks like that potentially world leaders or countries might be spotlighted a little bit, who are acting out of integrity, or maybe it's all about walking away from some unjust situation as well. So when Australia is in the sign of Sagittarius, that brings up the topic of truth, the freedom, the higher philosophy. So it's all about finding the meaning to life, advocating for a higher cause. It's about universal truth and justice. It looks like that this eclipse is spotlighting injustice or the justice that needs to be done. It's something like we are being very like passionate about serving justice or what is right. So therefore it's a philosophical or legal battle for justice. It's the exposure of hypocrisy and corruptions in institutions like religion, law, or academia as well. So because this Pisces eclipse being squared by Australia, square is a challenge, basically. It creates conflict, tension, the need, it's a call to action. So, we've got the spiritual and emotional release. That's the Pisces eclipse. It's all about surrendering, letting go, trusting the higher process. And then we've got Australia, who is craving for justice and truth. So it tells us to fight for what you believe is right, to expose lies, to stand up for your own principles. So there is some ethical dilemma going on here. We feel emotionally or spiritually that would be the right course of action. That's the right path. But what we believe, looking at it kind of objectively or fair or true, you know, like imagine that you feel this pull or to forgive someone, but also you feel like the justice demands that they have to be, held accountable for their own actions. Or there could be a lot of conflict happening between your belief and intuition as well. So you've got those long-held beliefs or philosophical ideas, but you've got this new intuitive truth that is revealed to you through this eclipse. Also, this could be kind of like a retreat versus action type of dilemma as well. Like, am I going to withdraw and process, or am I going to step up and take a stand? So, it's kind of like being at a court, having to testify against someone, but I might be too afraid to do that because maybe, I want to be hiding in case I'm going to get hurt. So there is a moral challenge, a point of friction here, not knowing whether we are kind of like moving into the right direction. Then we've got an opposition to Pandora. And Pandora was the first mortal woman. She was created by the gods and given many gifts. However, she also came with a box. And it was a kind of like a jar type of stuff, and it was filled with all the evils, diseases, the miseries of the world. And driven by curiosity, she opened the jar. She was told not to, but she did. and she released these troubles upon humanity. The only thing that got left at the bottom was hope. Pandora's astrological number is 55, in case you want to be looking at where it is in your natal chart. But bringing that together with this eclipse, it's about releasing something that is hidden. It's kind of like opening up a situation that was previously sealed, contained, ignored, and there are some unforeseen consequences, of course, because just think about the action that Pandora took. It had a ripple effect, right? That was not anticipated whatsoever. And it's kind of like curiosity killed the cat. So we have got this drive to know or to reveal something, but then when the outcome comes around, we become very unsettled. And, she was given the gift, but it was a curse as well because she had to carry the box all over around. So it kind of indicates also that every scenario has got gifts and curses to it as well. The hope is there. And then you just need to find the hope within yourself. And I really feel like that the fact that we have got Australia in the sign of Sagittarius, which is also about hope. And Australia just walked out of Earth rather than trying to help humanity to get back on the track. She just escaped. She wasn't hopeful enough. So, whatever I'm looking, there is a lot of hope in this chart that we all have got the chance to change and turn our life around. So there could be a lot of shocking revelation happening during this eclipse. Maybe things that have been kept locked away or ignored, may suddenly come to light. This might be a secret or an emotional wound or a hidden dynamics in a relationship, for example. This eclipse is going to force you to put it out in the open. And I think, maybe it's a difficult truth or a painful reality, but that Pandora signifies that the hope is there. So emotional release, that is painful, but I think there's going to be a renewed sense of hope and a clearer path forward for many of us. And I also feel like that there is an intuitive urge here to open up something, like to open up to something or to someone. And maybe you feel like that this is not right or not just, but at the same time, it might be, a trouble, more like a trouble that you bargained for. And maybe it's just all about having to trust your intuition, Pisces, because this eclipse might be guiding you to your own truth. So there is a dramatic revelation going on here. Now, how I can imagine this playing out in the world? I mean, I can imagine some major whistleblowing events going down, like classified government documents, corporate corruption, financial scandals that can be revealed, certain type of fraud. Or I can imagine a downfall of a public figure, institutions, leaders, certain type of evidence of past misconduct, abuse of power, hidden deals. All those can be somehow revealed. And of course, the square to Australia is a very legal or moral type of scenario. So I can imagine an international court case, moral disputes related to human rights, corporate malfunctioning, war and crime related type of stuff as well. Or I can imagine quite a lot of rebellion against hypocrisy as well. So therefore, protests, maybe in countries where there are restrictive laws or corrupt leaders. I can imagine something that too. This is a very ideological combination. So it's about the protection of ideology. The truth is somehow wants to come out. Also, I would say that maybe it's about confronting historical wounds. Nations are forced to confront past atrocities or violence. Maybe this is a major apology. Maybe this is a talking about a painful historical event. Because, like I said, Jupiter is in the sign of Cancer, and that could really talk to us about history. Maybe it's also, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that we've got Nessus also connected to this eclipse as well. So Nessus conjuncts the North Node, and Nessus represents abuse. So something to do with the exposure of cycle of abuse as well, very highly possible. So maybe religious organizations or governments or powerful industries. Um, so I can imagine that, there's going to be certain type of demonstrations at bigger company, but also it's about movements for collective healing. So therefore, often we see that, people are coming together because let's say there is a flood somewhere, and then we are going to be helping the nation. We are empathetic, we are humanitarian, so I can even imagine that happening. There is a lot of humanitarian and spiritual kind of like efforts that I'm seeing in this chart. Um, like I said, the sun conjunct Orcus within 1 degree. And Orcus was the god of underworld and the enforcer of oath. So he was a punisher of those who broke their vows. I call it as the counterpart of Pluto. And I think I made a video about Orcus approximately a good 4 years ago. So if you type in Orcus on my YouTube channel, you should be able to find that. Its astrological is number 90482. So he represents oath, vows, and contracts. Both those we make to others and those we make to ourselves as well. And then when you break the contract, then actually you get punished with oaths. So this is an unbreakable truth, or it's a promise that it says that it's binding. You cannot just walk away from it. And therefore, it's the asteroid of accountability and consequences as well. So again, it might be something to do with someone who made a promise. And it's a vow, a promise you made long ago. And maybe you feel like that this promise doesn't serve you anymore. And I want to walk out of it. Maybe it's a marriage vow. Maybe it's a business contract. So in the political world, we might be also seeing this, that, alliances are kind of like, I promise to help you, and then I decide not to help you anymore. And then Orcus comes into the picture and then kind of punishing you that that's not what we signed up for. Where is the integrity here? So, of course, the Sun and Orcus conjunction is happening in the sign of Virgo. So, it does bring in the topic of integrity and accountability. So, the actions will be, judged against your own words. And if there are any discrepancies, then you are going to be exposed. So, bringing all these together, there is a culmination with the lunar eclipse. There is a fated path here, but the ending is all about kind of like stopping all the suffering that is going on. We are breaking free from a cycle of trauma and abuse and betrayal. And then we are testing the integrity with Sun and Orcus. We've got the moral dilemma with Australia in Sagittarius. And then we've got the truth, which is coming from Pandora. And of course, we've got a trine to Jupiter as well. And, Jupiter is all about, like in the sign of Cancer, I'm going to be protecting my own blood. I'm going to be watching out for, my own emotional security, a healing, a personal growth. And like I said, that Jupiter in Cancer is in a challenging square to Mars in Libra. So Jupiter is the dispositor here, the traditional dispositor. And it's in exaltation, it's all about protection, securing something, expanding emotional well-being. And Mars in Libra is like Mars is planet of action, war, energy. Libra is a sign of balance, justice, relationships. Mars is a slightly bit uncomfortable here. But Mars is fighting for harmony and fairness. Often this is a passive-aggressive conflict. Often it's action taken in the name of justice, but there could be hesitation to act as well for like fear of upsetting the balance. And of course, it could indicate an end to a relationship also, or fighting against injustice in a relationship. So it looks like there is a conflict over security and justice. Like imagine that you have got this situation where you have to choose between your emotional and financial security and doing what is right. So maybe leaving a comfortable job or ending a secure relationship. And there is this moral dilemma going on within you. Or maybe you are taking action to protect the vulnerable, to protect, your people, to protect your own family. So this could be a mama tiger type of archetype. I'm going to be defending my home. I'm going to defend my country. I'm going to defend my family. And, Mars in Libra energy can be difficult to deal with because being in a direct confrontation in a people-pleasing sign could be very much of a challenge for Mars. So the dilemma could be here as well, whether to keep the peace or basically to attack. But there is a call here that how long am I going to allow others to kind of like abuse me? And that would be Nessus. And again, I went through the participants here, right? So having to be able to kind of serve justice and standing up for what we truly believe and so forth. So I went through all the components. I want to summarize a little bit because this North Node eclipse is all about, listening to your intuition and let your soul lead you to where you need to be. And of course, the sun is in a direct opposition, which is planning things out. I mean, the sun actually sits in Virgo with Mercury as well, and old ways of thinking, old ways of doing things, the rigid self-expectations might not be the way anymore. So you're gonna have to trust that the angels are sitting on your shoulders and they are leading you towards where you need to be. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be walking away from every kind of logical aspect of my life. So don't do that because I think, that's basically not the case here. However, maybe we need to be revisiting our old ways of thinking, patterns and opinions. And we're going to have to be able to open up a little bit because it's sometimes a trap that something that I was told or taught before is the absolute truth. And maybe we have to realize that, like, how wrong we are. So it depends again what part it is in, but if it's in your first house, it's time to start fresh. Something that, like maybe it's a relationship that you have been doing and it's not working. So we're gonna have to be basing that on different levels. Maybe you have been a perfectionist and you have been analyzing every single stuff in the relationship. What if I just try to go with the flow? So look at your belief systems. I think that's one of the topics that might be coming up for you. And also, what do you want in life? Or secretly, like especially secretly, what do you want in life? Things that you might not tell anyone actually, you might not want to say out loud because you potentially have got some confidence issues. It's a desire here with Pisces. We want to be one with the universe. And it really feels like that you just have to be digging deeper to kind of figure that out. And potentially, maybe you want to be looking at how your generations or your past is actually affecting your current life right now. So again, it's a little bit difficult. Or you look at your family history as well with Jupiter in Cancer, what worked for them, what didn't work for them, what type of patterns am I repeating? Um, and yeah, how am I going to heal this part of it? And lastly, the endings. So instead of leaving something to be more dramatic, maybe allow yourself to close this chapter. It can indicate physically leaving an experience or just, kind of like maybe a pause or maybe, just a contemplation. And then I'm going to be ready to make adjustments and kind of like starting completely fresh. So this is what I would say that this eclipse is going to be good for you. Now, I think let's have a look at how this might be playing out for all 12 signs. So I will share the screen so you guys can see what is going on in your chart. Let's get started with Aries rising sign. So remember we were speaking about the lunar eclipse in Pisces conjunct Nessus and having a square to Australia in the sign of Sagittarius, Sun conjunct Orcus and Pandora, and the dispositor Jupiter is in trine to the eclipse, and we also have got a Jupiter and Mars square. So for Aries rising sign, this is kind of like a karmic reckoning in your relationships and your subconscious mind. The eclipse hits your 12th house, which represents hidden matters and endings, while we have got that Sun and Jupiter and Mars energy, which is somehow activating your 7th house, the house of partnership. So on one hand, I can imagine an emotional and spiritual breakthrough. Maybe a long-held subconscious block of fear is released, and it's kind of like a psychological freedom for you. You are able to kind of find this inner peace, or you are finally letting go of self-sabotaging patterns, potentially things that have impacted your relationship department. So this is somehow also potentially a karmic release connected to a partnership as well. So you are able to potentially forgive and move on and end the toxic and karmic relationship. Maybe that has drained your energy for years, and somehow the truth is setting you free, or the truth is revealed to you, and that is allowing you to move on with clear conscience. And also, you might be healing yourself from past betrayal as well. So it's a secret that might be coming to light, allowing you to finally understand what had happened, and then you start the healing process. Because what the truth does, it gives you power to find closure as well as being able to move forward. However, this could indicate some challenges as well. It could indicate a sudden end of a partnership. So maybe a betrayal due to betrayal or deep-seated issues. And that might be leading to some arguments, for example, or unexpected ends to your relationship. Or maybe you are forced to face the consequences of a broken promise or an oath that you made to someone. Potentially, it might be a partner. And that could be popping up in the public as well, kind of dramatically. Or there could be some legal or relational conflicts happening, like a dispute, a disagreement with a partner, and that might escalate even further. Taurus rising sign. So you should remember what we have spoken about at the beginning. This was about the lunar eclipse, which conjuncts Nessus, Australia, that is squaring your eclipse. The Sun conjuncts Orcus and Pandora. The dispositor of this eclipse, Jupiter, is in trine to the eclipse, but it has got a square to Mars in your sixth house. So, on one hand, I would say that this is going to be talking to you about cleansing, potential transformation of your social circle as well as your daily routines. The eclipse affects your 11th house, which is connected to friends and networks. But the Mars energy activates your sixth house, the house of work and health as well. So, therefore, this could indicate that you are letting go of a relationship or an association. Maybe there was some toxicity going on there. And of course, it allows you to connect with more supportive people. Also, this could indicate that you getting attention for a creative project of yours. Maybe it's a healing work that you do behind the scenes, and it opens up new opportunities for you within your career or even your network. And I feel like the Jupiter trine might provide a boost to your reputation or kind of like giving you an element of optimism to get going on your path. It really feels also that you are making progress when it comes to your health transformation as well. So maybe something has been going on within your body and it gets diagnosed, and then we can start the healing process. I can also imagine, negatively speaking, that there are betrayals going on among your social circle, like a friend who is letting the cat out of the bag, or, maybe you realize that a friend of yours is kind of like doing stuff behind your back. So there could be some hidden power dynamic. It can make you feel wounded and questioning whether you can trust them. Remember, this eclipse conjuncts Nessus, and that's where the betrayal comes from. And also, there could be a lot of stress happening at work as well. Maybe a issue at work is now exposed. Maybe it causes a bit of a chaos, for example. Maybe you feel victimized by a colleague or a boss, or you feel like that you cannot focus on your daily routines, on your health, because something keeps distracting you or disrupting them. And also, your work or your daily routine can come under the public scrutiny as well. Maybe it's a promise that you made in the past or some past actions, and then people are kind of like asking you why that has not been done yet. So that it can lead to some conflicts. Um, Gemini rising sign. So you should remember that this eclipse conjuncts Nessus. It opposes Orcus and Pandora. It has got a square from Australia in the sign of Sagittarius. But this is a public and career reckoning for you. The eclipse hits your 10th house, the house of career and status, while Mars is activating your 5th house, the house of creativity, romance, and children. So some of the goodies that I can imagine is that your career is about to be taken off and you are going to be recognized. So it's kind of like your career can be reaching a successful climax. You're recognized for the work that you do, you get promoted. Maybe it has involved a lot of sacrifice. You have been working behind the scenes for a long time, and then now it's ready to pay off. Or maybe you are recovering from a public scandal, or your reputation has been slightly bit damaged, or it was put to a test, and then now you are ready to recover. And maybe you get the opportunity to actually discuss this, your side of the story as well. So you are restoring somehow your integrity. And I can also imagine that maybe certain type of partnerships might be reaching a point where we are finding a resolution to it. So you might have been going through some challenging times, professionally or romantically even. And then now you feel empowered to take creative risk. And that is, of course, leading to a better sense of self-worth. And maybe you're ready to make a career shift because you start trusting your own abilities. Some of the negatives that could be coming is, for example, a public downfall. So abuse of power or imbalances in your career might be revealed, and maybe it's hitting somehow your reputation or your business as well. And maybe you feel like that it's very overwhelming, the work that you do, things are out of control, no system in place, and it could make you worried. I would also say that maybe there is a creative expression or a relationship with a child or lover, and maybe someone is breaking the promise. And that could be a painful emotional reckoning. And then maybe it's kind of like bogging you down, getting you bogged down, and then it's difficult for you to move forward. And even there could be a conflict with a mentor or a boss as well. And that could escalate further, and then it could happen in front of others also. And this might be again around abuse of power or a matter of truth or justice, but you might feel slightly bit helpless. Cancer rising sign. So remember this eclipse conjuncts Nessus, squares Astrea, opposes Orcus and Pandora. And the eclipse is actually taking place in your ninth house. This is a quest for truth and justice in your core belief system and potentially even family matters as well. The eclipse hits your ninth house, which is connected to philosophy, travel, but Mars activates your fourth house, the house of home, family, and the roots. So, surely, positively speaking, this could talk to you about a spiritual awakening. Maybe you have been going through this philosophical or spiritual crisis situation, and then it's a powerful moment when I'm ready to release this. I've got a new understanding of my path ahead of me, or I finally find a belief system that heals potentially old wounds, maybe relationship wounds. So you can be healing actually from healing family trauma as well, or you can figure out certain type of secrets that have been holding you back. It gets maybe there is a history of abuse that is revealed to you, and you are ready to address that. The truth is kind of like bringing you salvation, basically, and then somehow you are trying to find justice and peace in your home environment. And maybe there is this long distance journey ahead of you or a course of higher learning. And that is kind of like giving you a life-changing experience. And maybe this journey helps you emotionally release a past trauma and find a new, more expansive sense of self. The challenging side of this eclipse could be family conflicts, like you feel betrayed by a family member or maybe a family member who had broken their oath or promise. And it's kind of like an emotional showdown in your home. But there could be a crisis going on in your belief as well. Like, I've been holding on to a belief system and it gets shattered. So it's about getting to know the painful truth somehow. And that could lead to major identity crisis as well, or it makes you question your entire philosophy on life. And there could be some housing dispute going on as well, like maybe legal issues related to a home, property, or even family inheritance can escalate too. And then you are looking for justice. Leo rising sign. So remember, this eclipse is conjuncting Nessus, opposing Pandora and Orcus, and squares Australia. And at the same time, we have got a Jupiter and Mars square as well. But this is, for you, Leo, a period of deep financial and emotional transformation. The eclipse actually hits your eighth house, which is connected to shared resources, intimacy, while Mars is activating your third house. So, on one hand, I can imagine that you have got a debt or certain type of financial obligations and it's finally resolved. Maybe you are about to be finishing off your like mortgage, for example, or you are releasing this financial burden, or you have had financial insecurities and you're going to start working on them. And then basically there is a lot of healing. You are restructuring your finances in a healthier way. However, this could also indicate that there are some deep emotional wounds or psychological traumas from the past and is brought to light, and then you are going to start the healing process. And then you're going to trust your own abilities, and you're going to be able to trust others as well. And maybe a secret is revealed in a way that allows you to have like a healing conversation with someone, like maybe with a sibling of yours or a close friend, a relative, and you are able to speak your own truth. The challenging side of this eclipse could be is that someone betrays your trust. Like we made a financial agreement or an intimate relationship, and they keep breaking the promises. And let's say that there is this revelation of a secret, and it creates that painful emotional kind of reckoning. And it all leads to a significant loss of trust. There could be a conflict with a sibling or a neighbor as well. Like, for example, a sibling who promised something and then it is not delivered. And then we are going to be having an argument about it, or we are going to be kind of like having these painful conversations, and it can escalate even further. And you can also be super overwhelmed by a lot of information or emotional, painful news. And maybe you are forced to process a huge amount of hidden truth from others, and then it's mentally exhausting. Virgo rising sign. So remember that we've got the eclipse conjuncting Nessus, squaring Australia, opposing Orcus and Pandora. And the dispositor of this eclipse, Jupiter, squares Mars. But the eclipse hits your seventh house, the house of partnership, while Mars is activating your second house, the house of self-worth and finances. So, a positive side of it is about, maybe a difficult partnership that reaches that peaceful resolution, and we are ready to move on or ready to heal. It's an emotional release. So, it is all about the creation of a healthier, more balanced, more dynamic, compassionate relationship. But we are ready to end it like peacefully. And also, you can gain clarity on your true values, and you realize that, yes, it's time to work on my self-worth, which of course might allow you to restructure your finances and resources as well. Maybe you'll stop compromising your values for others. But you can also make some really great collaborations, beneficial partnership as well, either business or romantic, but comes to fruition. Maybe after a emotional purging. So a relationship that could help you grow financially, spiritually as well. The negative side of this eclipse could be that maybe there is an abuse or betrayal in a significant partnership and it's getting exposed. Or there could be some financial matters, like a financial issue with a partner or a business colleague, and that comes to a head, forcing you to deal with the consequences of broken promises or hidden debts. And that is affecting your sense of security, even your self-worth. Or maybe it's a conflict with a partner or close associates over money. And there's a disagreement here, and this disagreement seems to be intense. And then maybe we are parting ways. Libra rising sign. So I think it's going to be a physical reckoning or a personal reckoning with your health, daily routines, even your self-identity. This eclipse hits your sixth house, which is the house of work and wellness, but Mars is actually triggering your first house. So there is a lot of physical and emotional healing going on for you. Maybe there have been a health issue, and now, the mystery is solved, and then you're ready to heal your body. There's an emotional release here, which brings a new sense of vitality, something that potentially we can look forward to. And maybe you are implementing new daily routines or work-life balance, and that is serving your holistic health as well. Maybe you are ready to put an end to a draining habits, old habits, maybe something that negatively impacted your physical and mental state. And also, it might be all about like self-image empowerment. Maybe a past secret or a trauma related to you is brought to light, and you are able to face it, heal it, and to move forward. So it's a self-image transformation. It's a new sense of purpose. Challenging side is there could be a workplace conflict going on, a bit of toxicity at work. Maybe someone is abusing their own power, or there are power imbalances, lazy people. I'm stressed about my work. There could be potentially a long suppressed emotional issue that have been affecting your physical body as well. And it could even indicate that, you didn't think of it as affecting your physical body, but it does, and it gets revealed to you. And maybe it's also about accountability. Like you have to be facing the consequences of the way you treated your body, or the way you work, or you broke a promise at work, and that could be affecting your reputation, your sense of self. Or simply you can feel betrayed or misunderstood with your work also. Scorpio rising sign. So I think this is a very deep, creative, and romantic cleansing for you. Maybe with a focus of releasing past karma. I mean, the eclipse hits your fifth house, the house of creativity, romance, and children. But Mars is activating your 12th house, the house of secret and subconscious. So on one hand, this could really talk to us about creative breakthroughs. Like you have got this creative project and it reaches a powerful culmination. Maybe this actually deals with the themes of healing or past trauma, but something, maybe it's a childhood experience that you are ready to release, and it brings you that huge sense of relief and accomplishment. Maybe it's a romantic closure. So maybe there was this romantic entanglement, and then it's about to end, and then you free yourself up, and then you can pursue a healthier partnership. And potentially there's a lot of subconscious healing here as well. Like you receive clarity about your self-sabotaging patterns or subconscious fears that has been holding you back. And now you are taking some empowered action and heal from those old wounds. Challenging side of it could be is that, I mean, there is this romantic connection where you are somehow betrayed, potentially abused, cheated on. When we're talking about abuse, it's important to remember that this is not only physical abuse, right? So there could be an emotional fallout, and we can feel devastated. And maybe a boyfriend is ending a relationship with us, and then we are a little bit, down about it. But also, this could be talking to us about a deeply buried secret or past karma that is revealed to you, and maybe it having to deal with difficult truth about yourself or a loved one as well. And of course, it could be emotionally overwhelming. And there could be a conflict with a loved one as well, or even a creative partner. Kind of like might be happening behind the scenes. We just know that we don't like each other, or someone is kind of like threatening to expose something about us. Sagittarius rising sign. You've got your culmination happening in your home, family, and around your public reputation. So the eclipse actually hits your fourth house, connected to home and roots, but Mars is triggering your 11th house. And you should remember that we have spoken about the eclipse conjuncting Nessus, squaring Astrea, opposing Orcus and Pandora. So the good scenarios that I can imagine is that, it's a past family trauma is finally going to be healed. And it creates a sense of peace and security in your home environment. Maybe you are ready to release the past. You are ready to let go of old family patterns, or a living situation as well that has been maybe draining or toxic. Obviously, when we release, it opens up new opportunities for us, let's say, to create a new home that is truly your own. And maybe your social circle or network comes together to support you through these intense feelings. And negatively speaking, I can imagine family feuds happening, which is connected to a family secret or a issue of abuse. Maybe it's a major conflict at home. Maybe it's an emotional toll, which is kind of like threatening your sense of security. There could be conflicts with friends as well. A friend who has broken a promise, or you did to them, or maybe it's a group of people, and that comes to light, and then it might be affecting your reputation, or your networking. And there could be some legal or financial conflict over a home or a property as well. Um, like with authority figures, for example, who have been abusing their own power. And then you can feel powerless in your own home. Capricorn rising sign. I mean, this is about a culmination in your communication and potentially the focus on your public image and career. The eclipse hits your third house of communication and siblings, while Mars is actually activating your 10th house of career and status. So the positive side of it is that maybe you are able to have a difficult but healing conversation with a sibling or a close friend or even a boss of yours. And because it's an emotional release, it allows you to forgive the past and then to move forward with more clarity. But also, maybe you have got a project going on, writing, communication, teaching projects, and that is reaching that successful conclusion. And maybe you had to do a lot of sacrifice to make it happen, but that completion brings you a sense of achievement, recognition, as well as freedom. And maybe you are getting clarity about your career goals as well, or a secret is revealed about your work. And then maybe it allows you to finally stand in your integrity. Um, it's all about making your um, long-term path like stronger. The challenging side of it is could be communication breakdown, a lie or a secret is exposed. It could be a massive conflict with a sibling, neighbor, or a close friend, and the issue might go public, and it might be difficult to recover from. There could be a lot of professional scrutiny as well. Maybe a past broken promise or a hidden issue is revealed and forcing you to face the consequences, kind of like in an uncomfortable way. You can be super overwhelmed with your job as well. And the job could be toxic and abusive as well. And therefore, you can be stressing, emotionally feeling drained in the work environment. Aquarius rising sign. So there is a transformation around your finances and personal values with a focus on your core beliefs. Now, this eclipse hits your second house, the house of money and self-worth, while Mars activates your ninth house, the house of travel and philosophy. So on one hand, the positive side of it is about financial freedom. Maybe a financial burden or a debt is finally released. And this allows you to feel a sense of security, a freedom, and then I can start to build my own wealth, maybe in a new, more ethical way or abroad. And maybe it's about on the understanding of your own values and self-worth. It's somehow newfound clarity that allows you to stop compromising on matters that is important to you, and that is going to lead to financial growth. And maybe you are planning certain type of a travel to kind of heal, to have a closure, to boost your confidence. The challenging side could be financial betrayal, like secret money stash, or, whether I can trust someone over the finances. This may involve a loan, an investment, or shared resources. It might be all about feeling victimized when it comes to money matters. And maybe your worldview is about to change by having to get to know the painful truth. There could be an internal crisis happening as well, where you question your entire foundation. And maybe it's a long distance journey that is all about like a purification basically for you. Or maybe someone who is promising that they were going to visit you, or they might be ethically violating you, and it's forcing you to fight for what you believe is right. And last but not least, Pisces rising sign. This is the most personal and impactful culmination, of course, because it's happening around your ascendant, affecting your identity and physical body, while Mars is actually activating your eighth house, the house of shared resources, transformation, and intimacy. So, on one hand, it is all about personal healing and transformation. It's an emotional and spiritual release. It's about letting go of old baggage, victimhood, trauma. It's a powerful rebirth moment of your identity and a new sense of self. Maybe you are ready to heal from intimacy issues. Maybe you are ready to heal your body and you are ready to transform your body the way you want to be seen. And you are ready to let go of toxic patterns and move forward with new clarity and trusting your abilities. Or maybe you are about to start improving your finances. Like you want to be in control of your own finances. You are ready to invest in yourself, in your future as well. The challenging side could be his identity crisis, like hidden truth about your past or about your identity can be revealed to you. It's a painful reality check. It could be a emotional fallout with someone, maybe with a partner, and that leads to a crisis of the self. And maybe you feel like that I'm the victim of circumstances. Maybe it's someone who betrayed you, maybe in an intimate relationship or in a financial agreement, and that is exposed to you. Or there could be a conflict with a powerful person over shared resources, intimacy, and that could escalate. And it can even feel like that you have to be fighting for your own survival. So, guys, this is the eclipse very briefly. So I will be talking about this more in depth in my Patreon, in my YouTube membership program. You can sign up for that on my website also. So there will be a lot more breakdown. Generally, each week I'm providing about 20 minutes forecast for each rising sign. Thank you, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.
Through every sign and every house, a journey starts and we allow the universe so vast and true. Astro Victor, it's here for you.